Tấm Cám. Once upon a time, there were two sisters that had the same father and different mothers. The older one was Tấm, and the younger one was Cám. Tấm mother passed away early, and not long after, her father followed suit. Tấm stayed with her stepmother, who was Cám's birth mother. Every day, Tấm had to do hard work, while Cám was spoiled by her mother, got to wear fancy clothes, and didn't need to do any work. One day, the stepmother gave each of the sisters a basket to catch shrimps. Whoever that catch more would be rewarded with a red undershirt. Tấm was used to doing the work, so in just one morning, she had a full basket, while Cám went out until the afternoon and couldn't catch any shrimps. Seeing Tấm basket full of shrimps, Cám told, "Hey Tấm, your hair is dirty. You should wash it, or mother will be mad." Tấm thought she was telling the truth and ran to the water to clean herself. Cám took the opportunity to empty Tấm shrimp basket into hers and went home. When Tấm came back, she saw her empty basket and cried. Suddenly, an old fairy appeared and asked, "Why are you crying?" Hearing the story, the fairy said, "Look into the basket and see if there's anything left." Tấm replied, "There's only a goldby." The fairy told, "Bring this goldby home and drop it into the well. Then raise it. Every time you feed it, remember to call, 'Go by, come eat my golden rice, silver rice. Don't eat stale rice, old porridge that is not mine.'" After talking, the fairy disappeared. Tấm followed his words. Every meal, she would hide a bowl of rice for go-by. Seeing Tấm bring rice to the well, the stepmother grew suspicious, telling Cám to spy on her. Learning about the go-by, that night, the stepmother told Tấm to herd the buffaloes the next morning and said, "My child, tomorrow when you go herd the buffaloes, remember to go far away, or the village will catch our buffaloes." The next day, after waiting for Tấm to go completely, Cám and her mother brought rice to the well, calling go-by like how Tấm called it. Go-by rose to the water surface and was caught by them and was made into food. That afternoon, Tấm brought rice for go-by, but she kept calling. Finally, only a blob of blood came up. Tấm cried. The fairy appeared again and said, "They've eaten the go-by. Go collect his bones, put them into 4 jars, then bury them under 4 corners of the bed." Tấm did what the fairy said, but she couldn't find the goby's bones. Followed chicken's instruction. Tấm gave the chicken some grains. It went into the kitchen and looked around for a while, discovering the bones. Tấm picked them up and followed what the fairy said. Not long after, the king opened the festival. Cám and her mother prepared beautiful clothes to go there. Seeing that Tom wanted to go, the stepmother mixed a rice basket with a grain basket, forcing her to pick them apart before she could go. Tom felt sad and cried. The fairy appeared again and asked, "Why are you crying?" Tom told her story to the fairy. The fairy said, "Let me order the birds to come down and pick for you." And so a flock of birds flew down, and in just a moment, they picked the rice and the paddy apart without missing a seed. After the birds went away, Tom sobbed again because she didn't have nice clothes to attend the festival. The fairy appeared again and said, "Dig up the jars you have buried under the bed, and you will have everything you need to go celebrate." Tom dug up and saw beautiful clothes, things for festival. Tom was so happy that she quickly went for a shower and rode the horse to the festival. Unfortunately, on her way, Tom accidentally dropped her heel into the water and didn't have time to pick it up. After a while, the king's elephant went there, not wanting to move. The king ordered the guards to try looking around underwater, and they picked up a pretty heel. The king looked pleased and commanded whoever it fit would be the king's wife. The festival was exciting because everyone wanted to try their luck. Cam also went to try, but it didn't fit her. When it was Tom's turn, it fit her perfectly. Instantly, Tom was brought into the royal palace and made queen. Seeing Tom like that, the stepmother grew jealous. When Tom came home for her father's death anniversary, the stepmother told her, "Climb up the aerical tree and take some to offer up to your father." When Tom climbed to the top, the stepmother used a knife to cut down the tree. Seeing that, Tom asked, and she replied, "I'm just chasing away the ants for you." The aerical tree fell. Tom fell into the pond and died. The stepmother quickly took Tom's clothes and put them on Cam, then brought her daughter to the royal palace. She lied that Tom unfortunately drowned, so her sister would replace her and take care of the king. After death, Tom turned into an oriole and flew into the palace. Seeing Cam washing the king's clothes, the birds scolded Cam. Hearing the oriole's happy singing, the king said, "Oriole, Oriole, if you're my wife, then go into my sleeves." The small bird instantly went into the king's sleeves. Since then, the king often played around with the oriole and paid no attention to Cam. While the king was away, they caught the bird and cooked it, throwing its feather out to the garden. The feathers in the garden grew into two beautiful trees. The king saw the large and beautiful trees, and every day he would rest on a hammock underneath them. Knowing what was happening, Cam ordered the guards to cut down the trees and turn the wood into a loom. But while Cam was weaving, the loom cursed Cam. Cam was terrified and listened to her mother, burning the loom in a place far away. From the ashes grew a tall gold apple tree. The tree only had one fruit, but the scent spread everywhere. There was an old lady selling drinks nearby. Seeing the ripe and sweet fruit, she brought out her bag and said, "Hey, fall into my bag. I will smell you and I won't eat." The old lady just finished her sentence. The fruit instantly fell into her bag. Since then, every time the lady was away, a girl would come out from the fruit and clean the house, cook, and prepare bitter nuts for the lady. Then she would come back to the fruit. One day, the lady would pretend to go to the market, then return to the house. Seeing Tom come out, she was happy, tearing apart the fruit. Since then, Tom stayed with the old lady. Both of them loved each other like mother and daughter. One day, the king came across there, seeing the nuts prepared like how Tom used to do. He requested to meet the person that prepared the nuts. Tom came out, and he instantly recognized his wife, ordering the guards to bring her back to the palace. Cam and her mother saw Tom return, felt ashamed and scared, so they both ran away. Since then, Tom and the king lived together happily ever after.